After the end of the world, human leader Shi Jin and the zombie king perished together. He woke up in the blink of an eye and found himself in an unknown interstellar era, even becoming the daughter of a prestigious family in the interstellar realm. Due to the outstanding younger brothers and sisters in the family, as the only elder sister with average qualifications, the former head was naturally not favored by the family. Having just experienced a magnificent life, Shi Jin only wanted to be a salted fish waiting to die. However, as a member of the family, Shi Jin still wants to contribute to his family. So whenever there were various large-scale mecha competitions or subject competitions in the college, she would cheer for her younger siblings as a cheerleader. One time when she went to refuel, she suddenly saw her cousin being bullied by someone on the opposite side. So, Shi Jin was angry and casually pulled a B-level mech from a classmate next to her to fight, and then hit the opposite side to pieces. Everyone. Since then, there has always been a saying on the field that goes like this: what? The cheerleader is actually warming up. Shi Jin is the president of the student union. Every year, the most outstanding student among the college graduates is personally received by the imperial queen and awarded a military position to fight for her in all directions. But in the year that was supposed to be the year of Shi Jin's resignation, a competitor emerged. Shi Jin appeared calm on the surface, but in his heart, he had already started planning how to make the other person die. However, he did not expect that the woman would never die. P.S. Men are stronger and women are stronger. The type where the female protagonist can push the male protagonist to the ground and rub against each other. In the early stages, there is a sharp confrontation, while in the later stages, the male protagonist has a single arrow and the female protagonist has a few kings. Keywords of the novel. The Apocalyptic Tycoon is a salted fish in the interstellar world with no pop-ups. The Apocalyptic Tycoon is a salted fish in the interstellar world with no pop-ups. Download the complete text, and the Apocalyptic Tycoon is a salted fish in the interstellar world with the latest chapters. Chapter 1. 001 Interstellar Transit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1001 Interstellar Transit. When someone dragged him out of the room, Shi Jin was still holding a piece of pig trotters in his hand, and his face was covered in oil. I can't blame her, she's really too hungry. I thought that by dying with the zombie king at that time, my magnificent life could come to a complete end. Unexpectedly, when she opened her eyes, she found herself in a strange interstellar world. The original owner was probably angry with her family and locked herself in the room not to eat. Even if a servant brought food through the small window above the electronic door, she stubbornly refused to eat a bite. Then, she was so hungry that she felt dizzy that she accidentally bumped into the table, killing herself. This also led to Shi Jin's first thing after waking up being to crawl step by step towards the pig's trotters at the door, covered in blood stains. The fragrant glutinous pig trotters were insulated in a box with a lid, and the fragrance immediately came out when the lid was lifted. To be honest, if the original owner could smell this smell when he was so hungry that he might not have died. Shi Jin opened her mouth and wolfed down food, not only because she was originally hungry, but also because she had been starving in the apocalypse. The whole team's life was not easy, and it was indeed a long time since they had eaten meat. She even nibbled on it and was moved to tears. At this moment, the electronic door of the room was suddenly kicked open, and a young man wearing a college uniform stormed in. Shi Jin. How long are you going to be so angry? What's wrong with you? Shi Yi was about to curse, but when he saw Shi Jin's head covered in blood stains, he was shocked and stood still, and his words also turned around. He reached out in fear and dragged the girl who seemed to be devoured by a hungry tiger out of the room, shouting loudly to the downstairs, "Grandpa! Second uncle and second aunt! Shi Jin's brain is bleeding." As soon as these words were spoken, the downstairs was still discussing how to make Shi Jin soft. The people who obediently came out to eat immediately looked up at the upstairs. I saw the girl who had locked herself in the room and had been starving for 3 days, standing on the railing with a head of blood and gnawing on pig trotters. The old man's reaction was the fastest, and with a tap of his cane, he said directly, "What are you guys doing in a daze? Why don't you hurry and find a doctor?" 10 minutes later, at the sofa in the lobby of the first floor of the owner's house. The crowd surrounded Shi Jin in groups, with different expressions. The doctor cleaned the blood scab on the girl's head, disinfected it, and wrapped it in 2 bandages before saying, "The wound is very serious, theoretically it should be a fatal injury, but it seems that Miss Shi is very healthy, just extremely hungry." Even after being bandaged, the girl sitting on the sofa never forgets to continue gnawing on the pig's trotters. A dozen or so bones were scattered on the table, and Shi Jin's mouth never stopped. After the doctor finished speaking, she was finally willing to say, "Thank you, the wound no longer hurts." The doctor sorted out the medical kit and stood up, bowing to the crowd. "Miss Shi, just take good care of herself later. You can call me anytime if you have anything to do." After the man left, Shi's mother looked at her stubborn daughter and sighed helplessly, "I just wanted you to attend a Mech summer camp. Why do you always think we're taking your life?" Mech summer camp. Shi Jin put down the bone in her hand, took out a tissue, wiped her mouth, and asked, "What Mech summer camp?" Looking at Shi Jin's bewildered gaze, Shi Yi beside him couldn't help but say, "Did you really knock your head out? A week ago, I mentioned a competition event to you, and my second uncle wanted you to participate, but you cried and refused to sign up. Did you forget?" At this moment, Shi Jin, who was full of food, finally noticed the attire and various appearances of the group in front of him. The young man who spoke looked handsome, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes. He was dressed in a college uniform and had a straight posture, but his eyebrows were filled with impatience and disgust, as if he looked down on himself. Shi Jin. It's not that she forgot, she really doesn't know. Perhaps this is the reason why the original owner was angry with his family. Shi Jin sincerely said, "I've had a hard time remembering many things before." As the words fell, everyone was taken aback and looked at the girl with disbelief in their eyes. "Are you joking?" Shi Ye's mouth twitched. "I'm not joking, like now." She suddenly stared at the boy seriously and asked the famous 3 words, "Who are you?" The air suddenly fell silent. When the parents lost their memory. This news became a hot topic in the circle overnight. In the era of the Interstellar Empire, besides royal scandals that could lead people to devote themselves to digging, the gossip in the upper-class aristocratic circles was also a laughing-stock for everyone after dinner. As a prestigious and influential family in the upper echelons of the empire, the Shi family almost lives under the watchful eye of netizens. Any disturbance in the family cannot escape the eyes of the paparazzi. Shi Jin had just been exposed to have amnesia, and that night he became a hot search on Starnet. There are quite a few discussion terms, but in the comments section, there are still more comments about the eldest daughter's gossip that can be seen or not. Digging for information about the 2 wealthy young masters of the Shi family is more gimmicky. So the issue of amnesia only became a hot topic overnight, and the next day it was spread by other scandals. Early in the morning, the electronic alarm clock kept ringing. Shi Jin reached out his hand and turned it off in a daze. He turned over and wanted to stay in bed and continue sleeping. Unexpectedly, just a few seconds after she turned off her alarm clock, Shi Yi, who claimed to be her cousin yesterday, kicked open her door and walked to the girl's bed with a dark face. He looked up slightly and said arrogantly, "Hey, wake up." The sound of even breathing echoed in the room, and someone on the bed closed their eyes without any intention of getting up. Shi Yi chuckled and directly reached out to lift her blanket, saying, "Hey, wake up. It's time to go to school." A chill fell on her body, and Shi Jin suddenly opened her eyes. Her pitch-black pupils flashed a sharp color in that moment. Her body was faster than her brain, and she almost reflexively kicked towards the boy by the bed, shouting loudly, "First level guard." Bang! His foot touched the soft belly of the boy, and Shi Jin widened his eyes. The movement was so fast that he couldn't even think. In the blink of an eye, his back was pressed against the snow-white wall of the room. The sound was loud, causing the table next to it to shake twice. The servants who were cleaning the hallway heard the commotion and looked into the room, exclaiming in surprise, third young master. Shi Jin's stomach was burning with pain, and there was a sweet smell in his throat. It was the first time he had been treated like this, and his eyes couldn't help but turn red. He reached out a hand pointing at the girl and trembled uncontrollably, saying, Shi Jin. How could you? As soon as the words came out, a mouthful of blood spurted out, staining the fair collar of the young man's uniform red. Seeing this, Shi Jin immediately realized that it was no longer the end of the world, and there was no need for any level 1 vigilance. And the person she accidentally injured just now is her cousin in this world. No, it's okay, are you? The girl immediately ran up to the boy, wanting to help him up. At this moment, Shi Jin's handsome face had turned black to the bottom of the pot. As Shi Jin approached him, the young man trembled and loudly stopped her, Don't come over. Don't touch me. So Shi Jin's outstretched hand froze in mid-air, and in the end, he could only look at the servants at the door and say, You. Come and help me. This made the stunned crowd wake up from a dream, quickly putting down their activities and slowly helping Shi Jin up. At the moment when the young man stood, another mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth and dripped onto the floor, frightening the servants even paler. He quickly asked them to go find the old man again. The new article has been published, please leave a message for your collection. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. 002 Hurry up and go to school. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2002 Hurry up and go to school. 10 minutes later, at the sofa in the lobby of the first floor of the owner's house. Everyone gathered around the sofa, their eyes worried. This scene is somewhat familiar, but the protagonist being watched changes from Shi Jin to Shi Jin. The hurried family physician was drowsy-eyed, and the clothes were probably just a simple set. After the scanner checked the boy's body, the man looked at the data and sighed, internal bleeding, needs to be treated at home for 2 days. The medical technology in the interstellar world is advanced, and injuries such as visceral damage do not require long-term rest. However, even so, Shi Jin couldn't accept it. 2 days. I still have to attend the Mech summer camp this afternoon. Among the contestants this time is Chu Yen, that bastard. If I can't go, he will have to show off in front of me for a while. But your health is not good now, you need to be treated well, Shi Mu worried. Shi Jin's face changed and he wanted to say something more. At this moment, the old man also spoke up and advised, Xiao Yi, the body is the most important. The most prestigious old man in the family spoke up, and the words the young man wanted to say suddenly got stuck in his throat. The pair of pitch-black pupils carried a strong sense of unwillingness and resentment. In the end, they fiercely gouged out the culprit and gritted their teeth, saying, It's all your fault. Standing behind the crowd, Shi Jin didn't think of anything to defend himself. He followed the young man's words and admitted, Yes, it was my fault, but I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. In the apocalypse, one must always remain vigilant, which also leads to Shi Jin's instinctive attack response once she detects someone touching her body when she first arrives in this new world. Shi's mother looked at her with a reproachful expression in her eyes and said, Tell me about you. My cousin kindly came to wake you up, but you kicked someone like this. Shi Fu's face was also serious. Since you injured Xiao Yi, then you can go on his behalf. Shi Jin paused and said, Me. Shi Mu said, Your younger brother has been kicked by you and needs to rest at home for 2 days now. He has a conflict with that kid from the Chu family, and you don't know that. Anyway, you have to participate in it for Xiaoya this time. The summer camp competition is not a place that eats people, and it just changes your timid and cowardly personality. What? Let her go for me. She's a C-level psychic who can't even drive the most ordinary transport mechs, let alone those powerful combat mechs. Shi Jin frowned and looked at Shi Jin with disdain in his eyes. Second uncle, I'd rather miss a seat than have her tarnish my reputation under my name. The young man spoke without any courtesy, even when Shi Jin's parents were by his side, he remained true to his words. No one in the family scolded him for his disrespectful behavior towards his sister. Shi Jin listened silently and roughly understood the original owner's position in the family. No, it had no status at all. Xiaoye doesn't even want me to go, so I won't go. The girl spread her hand and smiled. Anyway, my mental strength is only C-level, so if I go, I probably can only be an audience member. Don't worry, you can't be an audience. Shi Fu looked at her and said, participating in summer camp, no matter how high your mental strength is, you must have a duel. Shi Jin. For the original owner, who is a spiritual waste, isn't it equivalent to taking his life? No wonder she refused to let go of her hunger strike. Not long after getting along, Shi Jin cannot make a comprehensive evaluation of the original owner's family, but so far, she feels that there are still some flaws in this family. Parents who do not respect their sister's cousin and force their daughter to participate in the competition. Perhaps the original parents wanted to change their daughter's personality by participating in competitions, but it's not so easy to change her personality. Fortunately, the old man was still quite normal. Shi Jin set his gaze on the old man and sighed, "Grandpa, what do you think?" "It's just a competition summer camp, there will be more competitions in the future, just this time," said the old man. Shi's father and mother looked disapproving and looked at Shi Jin with a look of resentment towards him. Shi Yi pursed his lips and remained silent. The young man strongly despised Shi Jin, a mediocre elder sister. However, if he really let her, a C-level person with mental strength, participate in that kind of life and death mecha competition, it would still make people a little worried. Speaking of which, did Xiaoyan and Xiaojiu sign up for the competition? The old man suddenly asked. Shi Yi said, "Xiaojiu is the head of the student union's mecha department. He participates in various competition activities in the college as the organizer, and generally speaking, the organizer cannot participate in the competition." Where's Xiaoyan? When it comes to this second sister, Shi Ye's gaze is much softer and there is a hint of pride. Of course she will sign up, but Sister Yen has a 2S level of mental strength and is still the first in our grade, he said. Shi Jiu and Shi Yen, who are also Shi Jin's younger siblings, have a total of 4 children in the Shi family. Apart from Shi Jin himself, the other 3 are very famous in the college. Shi Yi is the second in grade, Shi Yen is the first, and Shi Jiu is even more powerful. He is the head of the mech department of the student union. The old man smiled and said to the boy on the sofa, "Since Xiaoyan will participate, you don't have to worry. You can rest assured and recover in the next few days. If she confronts that young man from the Chu family, ask your second sister to avenge you." Shi Ye's mood seemed to have improved a bit, but when his gaze fell on Shi Jin, a hint of annoyance clearly flashed over him. Shi Jin ignored his cousin's contemptuous gaze and smiled off. It's normal for a young man of this age to be rebellious and arrogant. She doesn't care, so there will naturally be things that others won't like to take care of in the future, so there's no need to worry. Just as she was planning to go back and take a nap, Shi Yi impatiently urged her, "Why don't you dress up and tidy up? What are you packing up for?" Shi Jin blinked and asked. The handsome young man's face was ugly, as if staring at a pile of mud that couldn't be helped up the wall. "School bag. School. Today we have to go to class. Did you bump into your brain yesterday and become even more foolish?" Shi Jin. She retracted what she had just said. Being rebellious and arrogant as a teenager is actually quite abnormal. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. 003, Caught at Fault. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, 003, Caught at Fault. After packing his backpack, Shi Jin left home under the radiant gaze of Shi Jin. There was a driver driving a flying boat to see her off outside the door, which saved her the time of searching for maps. The driver, wearing sunglasses, opened the cabin door for Shi Jin and respectfully asked, "Do you need to take Miss to the classroom?" "If you want it," she nodded busily, "you know my situation too. You won't be able to find it alone." So the driver took her to school and then got off the spaceship to take the girl to the classroom. Shi Jin studied at the highest mecha academy in the entire empire. After graduation, the people here either became professional mecha fighters or joined the army to fight for the Empress in all directions. The spiritual level requirement for admission to the college is B, and Shi Jin, a C-level personnel, can still enter through the back door of his family. Otherwise, he can only go to ordinary universities. Last night, the news about Shi Jin spread throughout the circle, so today in the college, almost everyone who saw her would cover their mouths and point at her classmates next to her. Shi Jin has a good hearing, and all those words fall into her ears, including mockery, derogation, and schadenfreude. I heard that he didn't want to participate in the mecha summer camp, went on a hunger strike and committed suicide, but accidentally went hungry and knocked his head on the brain before losing his memory. I already have low mental strength, so why bother attending a mecha college and honestly go back to an ordinary university? What do you know? There's nothing in the family that's not linked to politics and military. Even if it's through the back door, they have to force their daughter in. Be polite when you speak, don't let anyone hear you, haha. So, even if Shi Jin heard it, he completely ignored it, as if nothing had happened. In her previous life, she had just experienced a magnificent journey, from being a weak superpower all the way to becoming a human leader. This led her to wake up in this life and completely ignore unnecessary disputes, only wanting to be a salted fish waiting to die. Talking behind the scenes or being treated as the object of gossip, compared to fighting a zombie army on the battlefield, the mayfly is nothing compared to seeing a blue whale. Arriving at the classroom door, the driver bowed to her and then turned around to leave. Shi Jin had to enter by herself, but as soon as she entered, two girls teamed up to block her. One of the girls was charming and beautiful, with pear-curled hair. When she saw Shi Jin, she directly raised her eyebrows and asked, "I heard you lost your memory." Shi Jin stopped in her tracks and generously admitted, "Yes, is there anything wrong?" The two girls exchanged a glance and then stared closely into Shi Jin's eyes, as if trying to see something from her. However, Shi Jin's eyes were so clear and foolish that there was no trace of lying. A few seconds later, the two of them gave up and said, "I thought you were pretending to lose your memory to avoid the competition. I never expected it to be so mysterious." The words, "Xuanhu," are rare to say from the interstellar population. Shi Jin asked, "So what exactly is going on with you?" "It's okay," the two of them spread out their hands. "It's just a spectacle." Shi Jin. "Okay, gossip is human nature, she understands." "You have amnesia, do you still remember your seat?" asked another girl. "I don't remember, can you tell me?" Shi Jin said. The pear blossom roll girl said. "It seems that she has really lost her memory. She is so stupid that she forgot that the seats in our classroom are random." Shi Jin said, It was a probe when combined with the sentence just now. "Since the seats are random, let's take any one." The location of the classroom is the same as the public classroom I used to have when I was in college, with semi-circular staircase-shaped seats that rise higher and higher. The first row was reserved for good students, and Shi Jin naturally ran to the last row, specifically located near the window. Unexpectedly, as soon as she sat down, several classmates in front of her looked at her with a strange gaze. You're sitting here." Shi Jin felt inexplicable and said, "Isn't it okay here?" Just now that pear blossom roll girl sighed. "Although I look down on you, I don't really let you die. That's Chu Yan's exclusive seat. If you don't want to be targeted and bullied again, get up quickly. The name Chu Yan was only heard by Shi Jin from his cousin this morning. I thought it was just Shi Ye's archenemy, but I didn't expect this kid to have targeted and bullied the original owner before. Shi Jin said, thank you for reminding me. I'll change it now. Although Pisces is indeed very likable, if it causes unnecessary trouble, it is better to sit elsewhere. However, before she could stand up, a young boy burst into the back door of the classroom, shouting proudly, ha ha ha, that guy Ye's name was kicked out of the competition list early this morning. The young master knew that guy was a coward, and as soon as I saw I was going, he immediately withdrew from the competition. Shi Jin looked towards the door and saw the young man who walked in, dyed with non-mainstream red hair, with good facial features and a relatively handsome appearance. However, his face was arrogant, and to some extent, it had some resemblance to his proud cousin's demeanor. No wonder the two of them will become sworn enemies, with the same attributes, but can't they confront each other head-on? After Chu Yan entered the classroom, he suddenly noticed Shi Jin by the window. The young man saw her and immediately shouted in disgust, Shi Jin. Who asked you to stay here? Do you know this is my seat? Shi Jin found that the people here inexplicably enjoyed shouting at people. She quickly stood up and apologized with a smile, I'm sorry, my mind hasn't been working well these past few days, I forgot. As soon as he mentioned his brain, Chu Yan immediately showed disdain and said, you also have self-awareness. Go away. Shi Jin walked to the middle of the last row with her belongings and sat back in place. But even so, Chu Yan doesn't seem to have any intention of letting her go. The young man looked arrogant and leaned against her seat, raising his eyebrows and saying, hey, why did that guy Shi Yi withdraw from the competition? He is still a bit curious about the reason why his arch-rival withdrew from the competition. Shi Jin said, I'm injured and I need to rest at home for 2 days. How did you suffer? Chu Yan's eyes lit up with a hint of schadenfreude. Shi Jin was too embarrassed to say that he had been kicked and injured, so he said, I got injured during training. The mech training itself also carries a certain degree of danger, and Chu Yan did not doubt that he was there. On the contrary, he was even more proud. Look, God is on my side. The top spot this time must be mine. His confident expression was unbearable to disturb, but Shi Jin still said, but shouldn't Shi Yan also participate? She's the oldest. Chu Yan sneered and said, so what? The first place in grade was because she added her theoretical score. She's just a woman, and she can't even compete with us men in the actual combat competition in the first tier. Shi Jin. Chu Yan's words were taken for granted. He strode to the window position, put down his backpack, and began playing games. Perhaps it was because of today's good mood that the young man did not make much of a difficult situation for Shi Jin. Just a few minutes later, he began to command people. Hey, buy me a bottle of water. Chu Yan said lazily like an old man. Shi Jin didn't move. Until the young man repeatedly urged and impatiently glared at her, the girl blinked and asked with a bewildered expression, are you calling me? Isn't it you or who? Chu Yan angrily said, your wings are hard. You didn't respond to calling you several times. Did your brain and ears also have problems? Shi Jin. Without comparison, there is no harm. Compared to Chu Yan, she suddenly felt that her haughty cousin seemed to have become a bit more beautiful. She is a salted fish and doesn't want to pay attention to disputes, but that doesn't mean she can tolerate others kicking her nose and eyes. Shi Jin said, I don't want to go, you can go by yourself. It was probably the first time the girl refused his command, which made Chu Yan's eyes widen and his face slightly red with anger as he said, what are you saying? At this moment, his younger brother also leaned over and loudly said, young Master Chu asked you to go buy something quickly. Don't force us to fight against women. Shi Jin blinked innocently and said, I said I don't want to go. Is your ear also sick? Chu Yen said, dare you say it again? The first time I heard Jin's refusal and retaliation, my classmates around me also turned their gaze. The girl with the pear blossom curl frowned slightly and whispered, really, her brain is broken. Otherwise, with Shi Jin's once cowardly and weak personality, how dare he directly confront Chu Yen? In the upper-class families, the Chu family and the Shi family have always been political enemies, with equal strength between the two families. Chu Yen not only has his own disgust towards Shi Jin, but also has additional emotions of family enmity, so he always likes to find various reasons to humiliate or manipulate her. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. 004, Too Fragile. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 004, Too Fragile, Shi Jin, I'll give you another chance. Are you going or not? The girl shook her head and said, I don't want to go. Seeing Shi Jin still standing still, the young man's anger grew even stronger. He kicked away the chair in front of him and stood in front of Shi Jin in 3 or 2 steps, staring down at her from a high position. He gritted his teeth and said, don't be shameless. Shi Jin. Yes, I enjoy being scolded. She sighed and looked up at him fearlessly, saying earnestly, if you want to drink water, you can buy it yourself. It's not because you have a broken leg or are disabled. What kind of young master hegemony are you doing here? The second year of middle school is sick again. When you grow up and leave the non-mainstream second year of middle school, you will definitely want to travel back and strangle your current self. Chu Yen couldn't understand what zhong er meant, but he knew that Shi Jin was cursing himself for being sick. The young man suddenly reached out and grabbed the girl's collar, disregarding gender differences. He grabbed her up and said coldly, there has never been a principle of not hitting women with me. It seems that staying at home for a week without attending class really makes you unclear about your position. Shi Jin. She said helplessly, okay, to be honest, Xiaoya didn't actually get injured during training. What are you talking about? Chu Yen didn't understand why she suddenly pulled up this. Just as she was puzzled, Shi Jin continued, actually, he was hurt by my kick, just like this. As the words fell, in an instant, a strong force hit the boy's abdomen fiercely. At that moment, his eyes were as round as a bell, and his expression was unbelievable. The intense pain in his abdomen came, and he suddenly flew from Shi Jin's face to the edge of another chair, landing heavily on the ground. Bang! Shi Jin lifted her knee and struck, but the force she used was not as strong as when she kicked Shi Yi in the morning. However, she did not expect Chu Yen to fly further than the young man. After the sound, the classroom fell silent. I thought Shi Jin would be bullied by Chu Yen, but who once kicked the young man far away with a single kick from the girl in the end. Shi Jin. You. It should be said that Chu Yen is truly Shi Ye's archenemy, and the two teenagers' incredulous expressions and trembling hands, as well as their expressions of accusing the girl, are no different. Before he could say a complete sentence, Chu Yen suddenly spewed out old blood, closed his eyes, and fainted by the chair. He was not as persistent as Shi Yi, and remained pure until the doctor came. Seeing Chu Yen closing his eyes and leaning aside, Shi Jin's heart skipped a beat. Isn't it so crispy? She blinked and walked over to the boy with lingering palpitations. In front of a group of stunned classmates, she reached out and poked Chu Yen, who had fainted, with her index finger. Are you okay? She asked. The boy breathed intermittently without responding. Shi Jin. She completely changed her expression. Damn it. I really didn't expect Chu Yan's body to kick so hard. Where is the medical room? Shi Jin asked loudly, lifting the boy's arm and lifting him on his back. Chu Yan's younger brother was scared away for a long time, but the pear blossom roll girl who first blocked the door stood up and said, follow me. Shi Jin gave her a grateful glance and quickly followed her out, carrying Chu Yen behind his back. He hurriedly ran towards the medical room. After Shi Jin left, I finally woke up and quickly followed the two of them. So on the morning of Queen Victoria Military Academy, a girl wearing a college uniform was running wildly on campus with an unconscious teenager spitting blood on her back. There was also a pair curl girl and a younger brother who also dyed her hair into a non-mainstream color. The three figures hurriedly passed by their classmates, and with sharp eyes, they recognized who those people were. They couldn't help but wonder, isn't that Chu Yen, the second young master of the Chu family? Wait. That one carrying him is Shi Jin from the Shi family, right? Quick, fast, fast. A classmate urged, hurry up and call the young master of the Chu family over. Also, let's inform the authorities. His cousin is carrying his political enemy's son to the medical room, and we don't know what exactly happened. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. 005 Mech Dueling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5005 Mech Dueling. Chu Yan's internal organs are damaged, and the general situation is the same as Shi Yi, requiring a 2-day rest. In this way, he won't be able to participate in the afternoon mecha summer camp competition. After seeing someone to the infirmary, Shi Jin breathed a sigh of relief and thought that it would be all right if there was a doctor to treat her, so she said to the pear blossom roll girl next to her, "Thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to find the infirmary." "You don't need to thank me. I didn't want to help you, just for the sake of time study," said the pear roll girl lightly. "Speaking of which, what is your name?" asked Shi Jin. "Luna." "Are you always friends with Shi?" "Not really." Luna's attitude remained somewhat indifferent. "Don't ask so many questions." She didn't say it explicitly, but from her slightly flushed cheeks, it could be seen that this girl should have a somewhat different kind of affection for Shijio. Shi Jin didn't say anything about it, but silently sighed in her heart about her youth. Unfortunately, she had already passed the age of spring heart sprouting. The two were about to leave the infirmary when they suddenly saw that the door of the infirmary had been opened by someone. The boy who walked in and Chu Yen were probably twins, almost identical to each other, but their expressions were much more indifferent. They looked at each other with a serious smile and were vastly different from Chu Yan's flamboyant personality. He ignored the two girls at the door and walked straight to Chu Yan's hospital bed, asking, "Is my brother okay?" "Master Chu Yen," the doctor said immediately when he saw him coming, "please rest assured that Master Chu Yen will be well cultivated in 2 days. But he still has to participate in the mecha summer camp competition in the afternoon." Chu Yen frowned slightly. "Unfortunately, he got injured at this time." "What's going on?" The doctor pointed at Shi Jin behind him and said, "Maybe you can ask that female classmate." Chu Yen looked in the direction pointed by the man, and perhaps he had finally looked at the person with his eyes. He recognized the girl and raised his eyebrows, saying, "When it was your daughter, it was you. I heard you carried Yen over. Do you know how my younger brother got injured?" Shi Jin. The question is too straightforward, how should she answer? Just as he was about to organize his language, Chu Yan's younger brother suddenly came out of the restroom. As soon as he saw the handsome young man, he rushed over and complained, "Brother Lien. You're finally here." Young Master Yen was kicked and injured by this woman. Upon hearing these words, Shi Jin knew that his troubles were coming again. After Luna showed a look of self-seeking happiness, she shook her hair and left, leaving only Shi Jin with a cold look at Chu Yen in the medical room and the expression of the little brother Shaoran Diji. "Are you saying that Ian was kicked and injured by his parents' daughter?" The young man's words were already tinged with coldness. The younger brother nodded quickly and said, that's right, it's her. She kicked our young Master Yen unconscious." Shi Jin was a bit uneasy at the moment. She really disliked these troublesome things. If Chu Dashao insisted on giving her an explanation, what kind of way should she apologize to avoid future trouble? But she didn't expect that, while thinking, the young master standing next to Chu Yan's bed suddenly said, a big man, kicked unconscious by a woman with only C-level mental strength, he really has face. Shi Jin. Hey. She suddenly lifted her eyes and looked at Chu Yan. This young master's focus was really unique. My younger brother was also confused by his words and didn't react for a moment. Lian, what do you mean? I deserve it. The simple two words were uttered from the boy's thin lips, and he added, this useless person, it's embarrassing to say it. Shi Jin. Little brother. But waste belongs to waste, Chu Lien said to Shi Jin, when the parents kicked and injured the second son of the Chu family, we will still remember this grudge. Just as he finished speaking, another young man's voice suddenly came in from outside the door of the medical room. Don't remember, it's better to avenge anyone on the spot. Shi Jin was slightly stunned, and suddenly a boy appeared in front of him who looked somewhat similar to Shi Yi. However, compared to Shi Yi, his scholarly aura was heavier. He was wearing a pair of thin-edged glasses, with a slightly sharp and handsome appearance. Time investigation. Shi Jin tentatively spoke. The boy glanced sideways at the girl and said, I heard from Xiaoye that you have lost your memory. It's hard for you to remember me. Shi Jin. This cousin has a bit of a venomous tongue. Without waiting for her to respond, Shijio pushed his glasses and continued, Sister Jean, let's go back to the classroom first. I'll handle the rest. Shi Jin suddenly understood why the little girl Lu Na had a liking for the boy. Very masculine, the type that little girls like. Shi Jin detests trouble, and if someone is willing to help solve it, it's naturally best. She reached out and patted her cousin's shoulder, saying, okay, it's up to you, thank you. After speaking, she turned around without any attachment and left. Although Shi Jin knows how to solve it through curiosity, he knows he shouldn't learn more. Curiosity is the beginning of trouble, and as long as this kind of thing is gone, he can save a lot of problems. Perhaps that kick was too earth-shattering. After returning to the classroom, the classmates looked at Shi Jin with a somewhat complicated expression. At this moment, the teacher hasn't arrived yet. Some people walked up to her and sat down, blinking their eyes and asking, hey, Shi Jin, how is Chu Yan doing? It's okay, don't worry, just cultivate for 2 days, the girl said. What else did the classmate want to ask? At this moment, a classmate suddenly stood up with his campus optical brain, his eyes full of excitement, and said, oh my goodness. Shijio and Chu Lien are having a mecha duel outside the medical building. Go and take a look. With one sound, 1,000 followed. At Queen Victoria's College, almost all conflicts are resolved through mecha duels, with strength as the top priority and force as the top priority. The Queen reveres war and passion, and tardiness and early departure caused by duels are allowed in this military academy, even vaguely revered. As soon as this news came out, almost all the classmates in the class ran away. Upon hearing about it, the little girl Lu Na was also there, so she immediately stood up and disappeared without a trace. It seemed like she was looking for a good spot to watch the duel. Quickly, there was only Shi Jin left in the classroom. She didn't quite understand the love of interstellar beings for mechas, just opening a Gundam. What was the charm of it all? Besides, it's almost time for class now. Is it really good to skip class so openly? The fact proves that she still underestimated the mecha brain of interstellar beings. Because even the teachers almost all went to the duel ground. Shijio is the head of the student union's mecha department, and Chu Yan is the competition department. Both are famous figures in the student union, so this duel will definitely be very exciting. Shi Jin still came to the duel venue. In interstellar mecha duels, there is a device that can open up the field at any time. After the domain is opened, it will immediately encompass an area as a battleground, with laser walls erected around it to prevent the mecha's light cannon weapons from harming the surrounding onlookers. Due to the late arrival of Shi Jin, the surrounding area is already crowded with people. To see the middle picture clearly, you need to find a high place. The corridor of the medical building was also overcrowded. Helpless, she had to climb up a big tree behind the crowd in 3 or 2 steps, sit on the branch of the tree, and look towards the center of the field. Good night, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. 006 Blue Tiger and Purple Snake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 is 006 Blue Tiger and Purple Snake. 2 tall mechas are separated at both ends of the field, and the metal outer panels reflect a golden color under the sunlight. One with blue and white patterns, and the other with purple-black, stood there with a majestic and serious aura. Shi Jin couldn't tell the quality of the mecha, but the discussions among the students under the tree kept coming and going, and he unexpectedly helped to give an explanation. It's Blue Tiger and Purple Snake. The latest all-around main attack mecha on the market. These two are high-end mechas that can only be driven by people with a spiritual power level of S or above. I thought I wouldn't be able to see them if I didn't participate in this mecha summer camp, but I didn't expect such a surprise. Shi Jin's gaze was fixed on the center of the field, as the S-class mech looked truly extraordinary. Its form is similar to those Gundam cartoons I've watched before, so there aren't many unusual features, such as mecha battles and perhaps not the thrill of hand-to-hand combat with monsters in the zombie tide. She leaned against the treetop, her hands resting on her head, feeling bored. At the moment the duel began, Shi Jin was stunned. Shi Jio's cousin is the driver of the Blue Tiger, with clusters of blue-focused flames spraying out from the footsteps of the mecha. The entire mecha leaps into the air, and a laser-long sword shoots out from its thick arm, swinging towards Chu Lien's mecha. But the skills of the young man from the Chu family were not bad either. The purple light blades faced the enemy head-on, and the sound of the blades striking each other shook the sky and the earth. I didn't see it very well before starting, but I didn't expect it to be a bit interesting even after the fight started. The two prestigious figures in the college engaged in a mecha duel, and the scene was naturally grand. Not only were there live audiences, but many people also broadcasted it directly with their brains, and even accompanied by commentary. Audience friends. This is the live broadcast of the campus mecha competition, where the head of the mecha department, Shi Jin, openly duels with the competition department, Chu Lien. Although we don't know what conflicts they have to use mecha duels to solve, our news agency will still provide a wonderful commentary for everyone, adhering to the principle of not watching anything but being lively. The sudden appearance of the aircraft next to us startled Shi Jin. There is a male classmate in the aircraft who is probably doing a live broadcast, wearing a microphone and earphones, enthusiastically working as a commentator there. Shi Jin's ears hurt from the noise, so she reached out and rubbed them. Speaking of which, the source of this contradiction seems to be oneself. However, Shi Jin will confront Chu Lien, probably not just to help himself solve this problem. The Shi family and the Chu family were originally political enemies, and the two families were basically at odds in college or other fields. The mecha Purple Snake is best at covert moves. It received a Blue Tiger strike on the surface, but a bullet shot from the left knee joint hit the Blue Tiger's arm. Okay. Dodge. It's worthy of being the Minister of Investigation. The reaction speed is fast. The aircraft was right next to Shi Jin, so the sound was unusually noisy. The commentator's level was clearly not within the passing line, she only knew how to do everything well. She glanced at the male classmate beside her who was chattering incessantly and lightly snapped her finger. Just listening to the sound of electric current passing by, the classmate's commentary equipment suddenly malfunctioned. Hey, what's going on? He looked at his microphone in surprise, looking anxious. At this moment, Shi Jin suddenly spoke up, is it because there's no electricity? The boy said, impossible. My electric door is fully charged. Perhaps there's a problem with the battery, should we go to the medical building to charge it for a while? She suggested. Ah, that's all we can do, thank you, the boy said in frustration, piloting his own aircraft away from the big tree where Shi Jin was located. You're welcome, Shi Jin responded shamelessly. In addition to clubs related to mecha, there are also news agencies or art departments where boys work in the military academy. After the electronic sound became less noisy, Shi Jin could finally focus his attention on the mech duel again. At first, Shi Jin had the upper hand, but as time passed, the drawbacks of Blue Tiger began to emerge. Compared to mechas like the Purple Snake with strong endurance, short-term explosive output mechas like the Blue Tiger are not suitable for long-term combat. It is not related to the driver's operational ability, but rather a weakness in the mecha's own design. A game was earth-shattering and lasted for about 2 hours. Shi Jin sat on a tree with a sore back and waist. She suddenly noticed that the movements of the Blue Tiger mech were a bit sluggish compared to before. The girl was slightly stunned and immediately understood Chu Lian's purpose. Shi Jin should have also noticed this. Chu Lian was procrastinating. Although there were suppressive attacks in the early stages, it was time for the Purple Snake to counterattack when Blue Tiger began to feel exhausted. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. 007 The Duel Ends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7007 The Duel Ends. Sure enough, the metallic sound of his arm breaking echoed through the entire field. Shi Jin didn't turn his head and couldn't bear to look anymore. He sighed twice, realizing that his cousin was still a bit tender. Not right. Wait. There is a reversal. Shi Jin blinked and suddenly came to her senses. At the moment when the Blue Tiger's arm, which had been cut off by the Purple Snake, was about to land, it suddenly rushed out like a shell, fiercely hitting the control center of the purple chest. Bang! The explosion sounded, and smoke and dust filled the air. Chu Lian seemed to have never expected that Shi Jin would load the laser cannon onto the forearm of the mecha and trigger it upon landing. The control center is the soul that connects the entire mecha's movement and is usually hidden inside the chest armor. However, it has been modified to have adhesive shells that stick to the mecha's chest and fire miniature bombs inside, further attacking external armor and successfully breaking through the control center. The movements of the Purple Snake became noticeably stiff, and even if Chu Lian tried to dodge no matter how much, his mecha had a certain delay period. Although Blue Tiger has broken one arm, it can still attack flexibly with its intact other hand. Therefore, who wins or loses is destined at this moment. Quickly, the mecha battle came to an end, with the victory of Shi Jin as the ending. It was already approaching noon, and the sun was a bit scorching. No one expected them to fight for so long. Shi Jin slid down from the tree and was also hungry. When she looked up at the high-altitude mech, her cousin had just emerged from the cockpit. The young man was calm and lacked the pride of victory. He pushed his glasses and only stated a simple fact. Chu Lian, you lost. As agreed, this is the end of my sister's matter. The words reached the ears of the people present, and they whispered to each other. Did these two people fight for Shi Jin? Did Shi Jin provoke Chu Lian? So Shi Jin stepped forward to solve it for her. After standing on the ground, the tall and majestic Blue Tiger mecha next to him suddenly seemed to be folded in 3 dimensions, gradually deforming and shrinking, eventually becoming a piece of portable item. The boy picked up the parts and put them into his diagonal bag. At first, Jin thought it was just a decoration for the school uniform, but unexpectedly, it was used to hold miniature mechas, connecting the slanted bag with the belt pouring down from her waist. She put her hand into her pocket, and as expected, there was nothing except a bunch of small snacks. There is also a mecha summer camp competition in the afternoon, so for the military academy this week, the courses are very easy. Shi Jin didn't stand out in the crowd until the commentator suddenly swept the camera over her face. Some of the students who saw the big screen in front of her realized that the invisible female protagonist in this confrontation was actually standing behind them. Shi Jin. Are you here too? One by one, their tone was disdainful, as if they looked down upon Shi Jin, who only had C-level spiritual power. Shi Jin smiled and said, "Hello, do you guys want to eat together?" This is a polite sentence, and those classmates can naturally hear it. What exactly happened to you and your classmate Chu Lian? You asked Shi Jin to help you solve it through a mecha duel. Shi Jin said, "It's nothing, it's just a little friction with Chu Lian. His brother wants to stand up for him, and my brother wants to help me, so that's all." In fact, regarding this issue, if it were Shi Jin's previous personality, he would definitely have explained it with a cold and indifferent remark that it's none of your business. But now she doesn't want it to be like this. Making enemies is one of the sources of trouble. Being harmonious with others will make her retirement life longer. Just as she was planning to go to the cafeteria for a meal, suddenly she pushed aside the crowd and walked towards her. The group of admirers surrounding the young man had to give way in disappointment. Shi Jin pushed his glasses and stared blankly at Shi Jin, asking, "Second uncle and mother said that Xiao Yi was injured today and didn't come to class." Upon hearing these words, Shi Jin felt that the other party had also come to question him. "Sorry," she said sincerely, "I didn't mean to." Shi Jin said, "Xiao Yi has never been polite in front of you. It's only right for you to occasionally teach him a lesson." "I didn't mean to blame my sister." Shi Jin. But she wasn't really trying to teach people a lesson. "I'm just curious," the young man asked. "How did you manage to kick him and injure him, and then kick Chu Yan unconscious?" End of this chapter. Chapter 8. 008, School Cheerleading Team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8, 008, School Cheerleading Team. This kind of thing is really troublesome to explain. Shi Jin couldn't just say to Shi Jin, "Why don't you give it a try?" She could only say, "At that time, I was impatient and didn't think too much. You know, people can always unleash their potential when they lose their sanity." Shi Jin remained non-committal about this cousin's words. He could hear that the other party was talking nonsense, but since the girl didn't want to say anything, he wouldn't ask much. He just said, "Xiao Yi can't participate in the competition this afternoon. Did Uncle Air let you take responsibility?" Shi Jin nodded and said, "Of course, they want me to replace Xiao Yi, but as you know, my C-level mental power cannot even drive a transport-type mech, let alone compete." "What does Xiao Yi mean?" Shi Jin pushed his glasses and asked. "Naturally, I disagree," Shi Jin said. "He's worried that I might embarrass him by using his name." "This concern is not without reason," the young man nodded. "After all, my cousin is indeed like a waste in the family." Shi Jin. Shi Jin sometimes speaks rudely, but now she's a bit confused about the young man's attitude towards her. Should he respect her like a sister or despise her like Shi Yi? So currently only Shi Yan has participated in the competition. This is the first time that Shi Yan's family has participated in so few large-scale events, said Shi Jin. Shi Jin silently roasted in her heart. Just two people participating becomes one person participating. What she said is less, it is less. But the meaning of Shi Jin seems to intentionally want to impose some responsibility on oneself. After thinking for a moment, her eyes suddenly lit up and she asked, "Speaking of this kind of competition, there must be many spectators, right?" "Well, all the teachers and students in the school, as well as foreign journalists and TV stations, and some prestigious aristocrats will represent us. The scale of the competition is second only to the Queen's observation." "What are you asking about this?" Shi Jin blinked and a smile appeared on her bright little face. "Cousin, as one of the organizers, have you ever solicited cheerleading teams? If this kind of competition doesn't have a hype and atmosphere, wouldn't it be very dry?" Unexpectedly, the young man said, "No, that kind of thing has no effect. As long as there is an audience and exciting matches, there is no lack of atmosphere." Shi Jin's little nine was mercilessly punctured, and she sighed, "But I also want to contribute to Xiao Yan. She competed in the afternoon, and as a cousin, I have to express myself." "As you please." Shi Jiu pushed his eyes and glanced at the message he had just sent to his optical brain. He said, "There is a spontaneous cheerleading team in the college. If you are interested, you can join one. The student council is meeting, I'll leave first. Goodbye, sister." After the young man finished speaking, without waiting for a response from Shi Jin, he turned around and left. The girl who stayed in the same place heard his last few words, and the flames of cold water splashed on her heart ignited again. There really is a cheerleading team. She blinked and a strange excitement rose. Isn't retirement life like this? Without square dancing, it's not too much to do a cheerleading, is it? Shi Jin actually has strong action skills, otherwise she wouldn't have been struggling in the end of the world and worked all the way to the position of elder sister's head. After receiving relevant information from Shi Jiu, she immediately searched for information on the summer camp competition cheerleading team on the Optics Brain Campus network, and indeed found a lot for her. The students from the student union did not participate in this competition. They are behind-the-scenes staff, so we need to avoid suspicion. Most of the participants in the summer camp competition are from the top 10 of each grade in the college. Shi Jin is currently in 5th grade and belongs to the graduation level. She was supposed to be 2 academic years older than Shi Yi and Shi Jiu. However, in addition to her low mental strength, her written test results were not very good, so she was unable to pass the graduation exam and was kept in the same level. If you still cannot pass the graduation in this academic year, you will not be able to obtain your graduation certificate and will be advised to quit directly. For a big family like the Shi family, this kind of thing is naturally a shameful scandal. So the family will do everything in their power to supervise Shi Jin's learning, using various means to the extreme. There are many cheerleading teams, and Shi Jin chose the team that supports Shi Yan and sent a team membership application to the captain. Quickly, her application was approved, and the respondent asked her to gather directly in the small garden behind the teaching building at noon for cheerleading training. Shi Jin closed his light brain and breathed a sigh of relief, feeling a sense of pleasure after finally finding a relaxed job for himself. Now, in addition to studying, there will also be multiple interest activities in college life in the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. 009 Student President. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 10. 010 Competition begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 is 010 Competition begins, but you also saw this time, right? I was originally planning to leave, but Xiaoyinci took the initiative to stop me. Shi Jin said, "If Miss Ling Xuan comes to find me then, can you two help me with a certificate?" Girls. You think it's quite simple. Miss Ling wants to punish you, even if 100 people prove your innocence, it's useless. After giving Shi Jin a self-seeking look, they turned around and left. On the huge competition field, the first floor was surrounded by people wearing cheerleading uniforms of various colors. There were many participants in this competition, and it may take a week to determine the ultimate winner. Although Shi Yi cannot participate in the competition, he can still be a spectator. After seeing Shi Jin dressed in cheerleading attire, the young man immediately turned black and said, "What are you doing?" Shi Jin performed 2 simple cheerleading dances and said, "Can't you tell? Give Xiao Yan some encouragement. Are you an idiot?" Shi Yi spoke rudely, "Sister Yan would only think that your appearance would embarrass her. Even in school, she wouldn't advise you." Unexpectedly, Shi Jin lost his mind and went from a cowardly social anxiety to a flamboyant social bully. I can't even bear to look at Shi Yi with such carelessness. For this somewhat irritable cousin, Shi Jin patiently comforted him, saying, "Xiaoya, don't get angry. You're still injured now, getting angry is not good for your health." Shi Yi sneered, "I was injured because of who gave me it. It's fortunate that you were able to persuade me." Shi Jin changed the topic and said, "Speaking of which, do you know Miss Ling Xuang?" Speaking of Ling Xuang, Shi Yi frowned slightly and said, "Did she bully you again?" The word, "you," is very spiritual. Shi Jin blinked and asked, "Do you understand?" Shi Yi gave her a wide eye and said, "Didn't you often cry to me about her bullying you in the college before?" Shi Jin. It seems that the relationship between the original owner and this cousin is not that bad either. "I almost forgot, you've lost your mind," the young man reacted and warned, "You should walk around in front of her, be careful when speaking and doing things, and use things with high emotional intelligence to help you avoid a lot of trouble." She nodded and said with a smile, "I understand. Thank you, Xiaoya. I haven't told you yet, and your arch-rival Chu Yan can't participate in the competition either." Shi Yi was taken aback and his eyes lit up. "Are you serious?" Shi Jin nodded. "Why?" Shi Jin squinted and said, "Because I kicked him into an internal injury." Shi Yi. He seemed to recall the girl's attack early in the morning, and now his internal organs were still tingling. After chatting with his younger brother, Shi Jin stood up and planned to go back to the cheerleading team. Shi Ye's face changed and he said, "You still have to go." Shi Jin said, "Of course, I have to cheer for Xiaoyan. She practiced cheerleading for a whole afternoon, but she still needs to jump twice." Shi Yi didn't persuade this time. He probably felt embarrassed and drew a clear line with the girl. The audience on the competition field is increasing, and the big screen is playing advertisements for the professional mecha league. Above the sky, airplanes, banners, and various colors and balloons of support flow endlessly. The lively scene here reminded Shi Jin of the past when the Earth was not yet at its end. When encountering an international sports event, it was basically the same grand scene. The schedule will be displayed on the big screen, and the first game this afternoon will be participated by Shi Yan, a 4th grade student, and Zhang Yuan, who is also a 4th grade student. Zhang Yuan ranked 3rd in the final exam last semester, and his practical skills in mecha were not inferior to Shi Yan's. However, his score in theoretical class was slightly lower, making him a somewhat strong opponent. At the beginning of the competition, Shi Jin finally saw clearly the appearance of his younger sister. Shi Yan is 1 year younger than herself, and her eyebrows are very similar to hers, except that her younger sister's expression is a bit cold, like a cold fairy who does not indulge in worldly pleasures. As the girls slowly drove into the arena with a beautifully designed mecha, she should have noticed Shi Jin. She frowned slightly and looked at Shi Jin's outfit, as well as the headband with her name printed on her head, puzzled. For Shi Jin, who is her own sister, Shi Yan cannot say she likes or dislikes her. Just when facing her, there is always an inexplicable impatience. Today, we should have hired professional commentators who have done a great job in mobilizing the atmosphere on site. The whole game, from start to finish, was filled with constant cheers and cheers. Zhang Yuan is strong, but Shi Yan should have received special training during the summer vacation, and the mecha control is even more powerful than last semester. Everyone's gaze was on the competition field, and the voice of the commentator spread to all sides of the field, full of vitality. Here we see that as soon as Shi Yan's Fei 2 mech enters the field, he gives the opponent a warning. The superphoton cannon is aimed at Zhang Yuan's eagle and fired directly. But the eagle's reaction is also very sensitive. The sky is the arena for birds, and the eagle spreads its wings and jumps into the air, starting to counterattack. Each type of mech has its own suitable field, such as Shi Yan's Fei 2, which is a highly flexible mech that operates on the ground and excels in tracking and guidance, while Zhang Yuan's eagle is suitable for the sky battlefield. Both sides utilize their respective strengths, engage in intellectual and technical battles, and strive for a favorable position in the competition. This game was truly exciting, to the point where at halftime, there were still many spectators engaged in passionate discussions. At this point, the mecha returned to their respective lounges for maintenance and repair, and waited for half an hour before continuing the game. At this moment, Shi Jin followed the cheerleaders on the stage and finally jumped to the day and night thinking cheerleading. She was in a very excited mood and acted awesome. Some of the classmates next to her recognized her and exclaimed in surprise, "When was the parent girl? How did she join the cheerleading team? Perhaps I finally realized my position correctly." Indeed, the C-level psychic power cannot even activate a transport mech, and she can only perform cheerleading. Don't say that, those people who do cheerleading are basically A-level or above in terms of mental strength. So, Shi Jin turned a deaf ear. After jumping soundly down the field, her heart was filled with unprecedented satisfaction. In the past, in the apocalypse, she never imagined that one day she could have such a relaxed and joyful life, and even those nitpicking and mocking words became much more pleasant to her ears. Just as she was about to drink some water, a nearby team member suddenly whispered to her, "Shi Jin, come here for a moment, someone is looking for her." Shi Jin put down his cup, wiped the sweat off his forehead, and asked, "Who is looking for me?" The team member said, "Just come here and you'll know." Shi Jin raised her eyebrows, feeling a bad premonition in her heart. Looking at the evasive eyes of the team members, she knew that there must have been nothing good in the past. So. No, I have to cheer my sister on. She smiled and refused. The team member could only tell the truth when they saw this. "Miss Ling Xuang is looking for you. If you don't go out, it will even anger her." End of this chapter.